Good morning, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. So we made these videos for the last few weeks. Most of the time I've been in my own house. Usually I am a little bit more casually dressed. But for this Shabbat, I really wanted to come back to shul, set foot in our sanctuary, in our Beit Knesset. So I got dressed, put on a suit for the first time in a few weeks, and came over to the shul. And of course, the lights were off. But I walk into the sanctuary, and the only light in the building that's on is the Ner Tamid, the eternal light, the symbol both of our resilience as a people and of God's eternal presence as a comforting sign that even though there's nobody in the building, even though our synagogue is empty, it will be full again in the future. God is still here. God is waiting for us to come back. I'm going to daven Shacharit, the morning service. I'm in Sidor Lev Shalem, beginning on page 147. Shochenad marom v'kadosh shemo v'chaturim b'fi yesharim tithalal u'divrei tzadikim titparach u'v'lshon chasidim titromam u'v'kerev kedoshim titkadash Uvmakalot rivevot amcha beit Yisrael. Lehodot, lehalel, leshabeach, lefaer, leromem, lehader, levarech, laleu, lekales, al kol divrei shirot v'tishbechot, David ben Yishai, abdecha meshichecha. Page 148. Yishtabach Shimcha La'ad Malkeinu Ala Melech Hagdol B'Kadosh Sh'mayim U'Ba'aretz Berachot Behoraot Me'ata V'Ad Olam Baruch Atah Adonai El Melech Hagdol B'Tishbachot El HaHoraot Adon Aniflaot Avocher B'Shirei Zimra Melech El Chei Olamim. Page 150. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Yotzer Or Uvorei Choshech Osei Shalom Uvorei Et Hakol. Bottom of the page. Efes B'Yiltecha Ko'aleinu Limod HaMashiach Yindom Elecha Moshienu Litchiat HaMeitim El Adon al kol hamasim baruch umvorach befi kol neshama kol lo v'tuvo ma'alei olam ta'atu tfuna aso v'imoto Amika'el al chayot hakodesh v'nedar bechavod al merkava zechut umishor lifnei chiso chesed v'rachamim lifnei chevodo Tovim me'oro shebara Eloheinu yitzaram b'da'at b'mina ufaskel Toach u'gvura na'atan bahem lion moshlim b'kerev tevel Meleim ziv umfikim noga na'ezivam b'chol ha'olam Semechim b'tzeitam v'sasim b'voam Osim b'eim aretzon tonam Pe'er v'chavod nodim lishmo Tzahalla v'rina lezecher malchuto Kara l'shemesh v'yizrachor Ra'a v'hikin surat havana Shevach nodim lo kol seva ma'arom Tiferet u'gedula Seraphim ve'ofanim ve'chayot hakodesh La'el asher Shabbat mikol ha'masim be'yom hashvita Titparach Moshienu al shevach maseh yadecha V'yam yorei or shasita Yifaru Chasela. Page 153. Titbarach Tzureinu Malkeinu V'go Aleinu Borei Kedoshim. Titbarach Tzureinu Malkeinu V'go Aleinu Borei Kedoshim. Kulam kulam ahuvim, kulam kulam berurim, kulam giborim vekulam osim be'ema uvirar tzontonam, vekulam potechim et pihem bikdusha ubetahara, v'shira uvzimra uvarechim umeshavechim, Mefarim umaritzim laktishim umamlichim Hashem alamelech hagdol hagibor panara kadoshu v'chulam mekabelim aleihem malchut shamayim ze mizeh v'notnim reshut ze lazeh v'notnim reshut ze lazeh lehakdish leyotzram benachat ruach Safa verura mi'ima kedosha kulam kechadonim v'omerim be'yera kadosh 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 Adonai Tzevaot meloch ha'aretz kivodo yochanim v'chayot hakodesh berash kadol Inasim lumat serafim lumatam meshavachim meomerim Baruch kivod Adonai mimekomo le'el Baruch nimod yiteinu l'melech chayam Ham chadesh betuvo b'chol yom tamid maseh v'reishit kamor le'oserim gedolim Ki l'olam chasto or chadash al Zion ta'ir nizkeh kulanu meher aleoro baruch atah Adonai yotzer hameorot page 154 Ki el poel yeshuot ata uvanu bacharta mikolam velashon v'kerav tanu l'shimcha gadol sela b'emet v'odol lecha u'yachercha b'yahava baruch atah Adonai abocher b'yamo Yisrael b'yahava Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha V'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol me'odecha v'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha Hayom alevavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibartam v'shiftecha b'veitecha v'lechtecha v'aderech v'v'shochpecha u'kumecha v'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'ayu letotafot bein einecha v'uchtavtam al mezuzot veitecha u'visharecha 156. Vayomer Adonai al Moshe lemor daber el bnei Yisrael v'amarta alehem v'asu lahem tzitzit al kanfei bigdeihem ledorotam minatnu al tzitzit al kanaf betil techelet v'haya lachem letzitzit Uritem oto zechartem ekom mitzvot Adonai v'asitem otam v'lo taturu acharei levavchem v'acharei einechem asher tem zonim achareihem למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. Let's turn ahead to the middle of page 158 for Micha Mocha. Tehillah le'elayon baruch hu mevorach Moshe u'Miriam u'bnei Yisrael lechanu shira v'simcha rabba v'yameru chulam Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai Micha Mocha nedar b'kodesh Nora tehilot Osefele Shira Chadasha Shibechu Geulim Leshimcha Sefatayam Yachad Kulam Hodu V'imlichu Ve'amru Adonai Yimloch Le'olam Va'ed Sor Yisrael Kuma V'ezrat Yisrael Uftei Chinumecha Yehuda v'Yisrael Bo Aleinu Adonai Tzvaot Shemo Kedosh Yisrael Baruch Atah Adonai Kal Yisrael. We begin the Amidah, page 159. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Ha'Gibor V'Hanora El Elyon Komel Chasadim Tovim Mekonei Hakol V'zocher chastei avot, mevi goel livnei v'neihem, leman shemo b'yahava, melech ozer ufoked u'moshia u'magen. Baruch atah Adonai, magen Abraham ufoked Sarah, atah gibor le'olam Adonai, mechaye metim atarav lehoshia, mechalkel chayim b'chesed, Mechayim eitim berachamim rabim, somech noflim verofeh cholim, umatir asurim, umekayim emunato, lishenei afar, Micha Mocha bal gevurot, umido melach, melech meimit umechayei, umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'chayot meitim baruch atah Adonai mechayeh hametim. This Shabbat we read Parashat Shmini, and the most familiar part of Parashat Shmini to us as Jews is probably chapter 11, which is the origin of kashrut, or our system of dietary laws. The chapter opens, "The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, Speak to the Israelite people and tell them, These are the creatures that you may eat from among all the animals that are on the land." We learn from this chapter that an animal can be kosher if it has two distinguishing characteristics. It must have split hooves, and it must chew its cud, or have multiple stomachs. The Torah lists 4 animals that have only one characteristic, but not the other. And among them is the classic villain of the kosher-keeping world, the pig, which is the only animal described as having split hooves, but not multiple stomachs. And more than anything else, the pig has become symbolic of food that is not kosher. But the rabbis have often wondered why we have such a dislike for this animal when there are countless others that are also not kosher. My favorite explanation is that the pig is a metaphor for a certain type of person. The pig has split hooves, which is the visible symbol of kashrut, but does not have the internal, non-visible characteristic of multiple stomachs. The pig represents a person who is externally religious and shows off his or her religiosity to others, even judges others, but at the same time is lacking a genuine piety and a genuine kindness when nobody else is looking. With this reading of kosher law in mind, I've always found it sad that observance of some of the visible details of kashrut are used by some people as proof of their superiority over other people who do not observe this or that particular detail. Kashrut is a complex and ever-growing system of laws, and no two people will observe it in exactly the same way. Personally, I try to avoid judging other people who keep kosher, but whose practice is different from my own, and I hope that they think the same way. Today, we are becoming familiar with another detailed set of laws, the laws that govern social distancing, isolation, and quarantine. We know that the basic principle is that we avoid contact with other people so as to avoid passing on or catching the virus. But the specifics of how these laws are observed may differ from household to household. Some people may avoid absolutely all contact with people outside of their household. Some people may still spend time with family members like grandparents. Some people are even co-quarantined with other families after periods of strict isolation. Some people may wear masks while walking down the street, while others will don the mask only while going grocery shopping. While it's so important, so critical that we all use our best judgment as we apply these new laws to our own lives, this should not be an opportunity to judge and to criticize people who make different decisions. Even though we are physically separated, we are all in this together, and we will need our relationships and our friendships to get through this ordeal and to rebuild the world that waits for us on the other side. I'm going to chant the beginning of Parshat Shmini, which can be found in the Eitz Chaim Chumashim on page 630. And since I'm in shul, I get to use an actual Torah scroll. It's a little bit hard to maneuver a Torah scroll with only one person, so I stood it up here on the Torah stand. And if you've never been to a Sephardic or a Middle Eastern service, you would see that their Torah scrolls actually stand upright, similar to this. So I'm going to chant from this scroll, the beginning of Parshat Shmini. You can follow along with me from the scroll. Vayehi bayom hashemini kara Moshe el Yaron ulevanav uleziknei Yisrael vayomer laharon kach lecha egel ben bakar lechatat v'ayel timimim v'hakrev lifnei Adonai v'el bnei Yisrael tidaber lemor Kechu sirizim lechatat v'egel v'cheves b'nei shana timimim le'olah v'shor v'ayil lishlamim lizboach lifnei Adonai umincha b'lulav v'shamen ki hayom Adonai nira aleichem v'yichu et asher tziva Moshe el pnei oel moed ויקרבו כל העדה ויעמדו לפני אדוני ויאמר משה זה הדבר אשר ציווה אדוני תעשו וירא עליכם כבוד אדוני. And we cover the Torah back up. Before continuing with the service, we pray on behalf of those who are ill. I recite the Mishaberach prayer and invite you to call to mind those who you are praying for today. Mishaberach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov v'Imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah hu yivarech v'yirapeh et hacholim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu yimaleh rachamim aleihem להחזיקם ולרפאותם וישלח להם מהרה רפואה שלמה מן השמיים, רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף בתוך שאר החולים, לחזק את ידי העוסקים בצורכיהם. השתה בעגלה ובזמן קריב ונאמר אמן. May God, who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bring blessing and healing to all those who suffer illness. May the Holy One mercifully restore them to health and vigor, granting them spiritual and physical well-being. May God grant strength to those who care for them. We hope and pray that healing is at hand, and let us say, Amen. We turn to the Haftarah for Parashat Shmini, which can be found in the Chumashim on page 645, although I'm going to chant from page 647. And this Haftarah, which comes from the second book of Samuel, is part of the King David story. And it's the part of the story where King David wants to build the first temple, the first house of God on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, the site where we know both temples will eventually stand. And it's always really remarkable when we open up a section of the Tanakh, of the Bible, whether it's the Torah or the prophets, the Haftarot like this, and we read something that really speaks to what we are feeling at that particular moment. Because in this section that I'm going to chant, David wants so badly to build a temple, to build a house for God, but he's told by God through the prophet Nathan that now is not the right time, now is not the moment to do that, and you are not the person. David is not going to be the one to do that. It will be his son Solomon. And I thought this Haftarah was really very fitting because the longer that we stay in isolation, the longer we stay away from our synagogues and temples, our houses of God. For me, as someone who makes the synagogue part of my everyday life, makes shul, davening part of my everyday life, it's been a very hard few weeks, and it continues to be as we stay away from community and our sacred buildings. I'm going to chant the Haftarah, beginning page 647, second book of Samuel, chapter 7. Vayehi ki yashav hamelech beveito Adonai Kiniach lo misaviv mikol oyevav Vayomer hamelech el Natan hanavi Re'ena anochi yoshev beveit arazim Varona Elohim yoshev betoch hayiriyah Vayomer Natan el hamelech kol asher bilvavcha Lech aseh ki Adonai imach. When the king was settled in his place and the Lord had granted him safety from all the enemies around him, the king said to the prophet Nathan, "Here I am dwelling in a house of cedar, while the ark of the Lord abides in a tent." Nathan said to the king, "Go and do whatever you have in mind, for the Lord is with you." Vayehi balayla hahu Vayehi devar Adonai el Natan lemor Lech v'amarta el avdi el David ko amar Adonai ha'ata tivne li vayit leshivti ki lo yashavti bevayit lemiyom Aloti et bnei Yisrael mitzrayim v'ad hayom hazeh v'heyeh miralech be'oel u'b'mishkan v'chol asher alachti v'chol bnei Yisrael hadavar dibarti et achad shivtei Yisrael asher tziviti lirot et ami Yisrael lemor lama lo venitem li beit arazim. But the same night the word of the Lord came to Nathan, "Go and say to my servant David, thus said the Lord, are you the one to build a house for me to dwell in? From the day that I brought the people of Israel out of Egypt to this day, I have not dwelt in a house, but have moved about in tent and tabernacle. As I moved about wherever the Israelites went, did I ever approach any of the tribal leaders whom I appointed to care for my people Israel? Did I ever say to them, why have you not built me a house of cedar?" And I find God's words to Nathan and to David to be very reassuring. Even though we can't come into our beautiful synagogues, God only asks us for what we can do, to offer our prayers from our own homes, from our own personal synagogues. I'm going to conclude Shabbat services with the end of the service, Ein Keloheinu, Aleinu, and Adon Olam, page 204. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Mi Keloheinu, Mi Kadonenu, Mi Kemalkeinu, Mi Kemoshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu, Atahu Shektiru, Avotenu lefanecha et ketoret hasamim. Page 205, Aleinu. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, latekedu laliotzer breishit, shelo asanu kigoyei haratzot, velo samanu kimishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, mishtachavim u'modim, Lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hakatu b'toratecha, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, v'ne'emar, v'haya Adonai le'melech al kol haaretz, v'yom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo, U'shemo echad. This morning, if you are marking a yard site or in mourning, I invite you to join with me in the words of the Mourner's Kaddish, page 207. Yitgadal, v'yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah, v'yalmad divra kirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon, v'yomechon, v'chayei, v'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala, v'zman kariv, v'imru, Amen. Yehi Shemei Rabbah mevorach leolam olamei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemei dekudsha brichu, le'elam min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran v'yalma v'imru Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabbah min Shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom v'imromav, v'yaseh shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. May God who creates peace on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all who dwell on earth, and let us say Amen. We conclude our Shabbat service with Adon Olam, page 211. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra, v'yet nasa b'chefetzo kol, azay melech shemo nikra, v'yacharei kichlot hakol, levado yimloch nora, v'hu haya v'hu hove, v'hu yiyeh b'tifara, v'hu echad, v'ein sheni, lahamshilo lehachbira, v'li reshit, v'li tachlit, v'lo ha'oz v'hamisra, v'hu eli v'chai goali, v'tzorchev li mi'etzara, v'hu nisi umanos li, menat kosi b'yom mekra, b'yado akiruchi, v'yeti shan v'ayira, v'imruchi geviati, Adonai li v'lo ira. It's been great spending a little time with you this morning. Have a Shabbat Shalom, a good Shabbos, and I hope to see you soon in person.